I'm going to share my top tips to help you kick imposter syndrome to the curb for good, so you can finally feel confident in your accomplishments. You know that feeling, right? The one where you're like, I'm not good enough, I'm just faking it, and everyone's going to find out. It's like you're living with this constant fear that you're not qualified to be doing what you're doing. That's imposter syndrome, and it's way more common than you think. Famous actors, entrepreneurs, artists, they've all talked about feeling like they don't belong. It's an epidemic that's holding us back from achieving our full potential. But here's the thing. It's not just about feeling insecure or uncertain. Imposter syndrome is a real phenomenon that can have serious consequences on our mental and emotional well-being. It's a pattern of thought that can sabotage our relationships, our work, and our overall happiness. So, if you're tired of feeling like you're living a lie, then it's time to do something about it. The truth is, we're all in this together. We're all struggling with these feelings of inadequacy, and we're all trying to find ways to overcome them. So, let's talk about it. Let's break down this myth that we have to be perfect, or that we have to have it all together. Because the reality is, nobody does. We're all just trying to figure it out as we go along. That's why I'm so passionate about spreading awareness about imposter syndrome. I believe that by talking about it, by sharing our experiences, and by supporting each other, we can start to break free from this cycle of self-doubt and fear. One of the biggest consequences of imposter syndrome is that it holds us back from taking risks and pursuing our dreams. We're so afraid of failing, of not being good enough, that we don't even try. We play it safe, we stick with what we know, and we let our fears dictate our decisions. But the truth is, the greatest accomplishments often require us to step outside our comfort zones and take a leap of faith. When we let imposter syndrome control our lives, we start to doubt our abilities, we question our accomplishments, and we fear that we're not good enough. We become paralyzed by fear, and we miss out on opportunities that could change our lives. It's like we're stuck in this cycle of self-doubt, and we don't know how to get out. Imposter syndrome also affects our relationships. We start to compare ourselves to others, we feel like we don't belong, and we start to doubt our own worth. We become defensive, we get anxious, and we start to isolate ourselves from the people around us. It's like we're living in this constant state of anxiety, and we don't know how to escape. Another consequence of imposter syndrome is that it makes us feel like we're alone. We feel like we're the only ones struggling, like we're the only ones who don't have it together. But the truth is, we're all struggling. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to overcome our fears and our doubts. Social media has a lot to do with imposter syndrome. We're constantly bombarded with images of perfection, of success, and of happiness. We start to think that everyone else has it together, that everyone else is living this perfect life. But the truth is, nobody's posting about their failures, about their doubts, or about their insecurities. We're also comparing ourselves to people who are way more experienced, way more qualified, or way more successful than us. We're setting ourselves up for failure, because we're comparing our behind-the-scenes to everyone else's highlight reels. It's like we're constantly feeling like we're not good enough, because we're comparing ourselves to the wrong people. Perfectionism is another reason why we experience imposter syndrome. We're so focused on doing everything perfectly, on making no mistakes, that we start to feel like we're not good enough. We're like, I'm not a perfect writer, I'm not a perfect artist, I'm not a perfect entrepreneur. But the truth is, nobody's perfect. We're all human beings, and we all make mistakes. So, how do we overcome imposter syndrome? How do we stop feeling like we're not good enough, and start feeling confident in our abilities? The first step is to acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge that we're feeling this way, and that it's okay to feel this way. The second step is to reframe our thinking. We have to stop thinking like I'm not good enough, and start thinking like I'm getting better every day. We have to focus on our strengths, on our accomplishments, and on our progress. The third step is to practice self-compassion. We have to be kind to ourselves, we have to be gentle with ourselves, and we have to be understanding. We have to remember that we're human beings and that we're going to make mistakes. The fourth step is to surround ourselves with people who support and encourage us. We have to find people who believe in us, who motivate us, and who inspire us to be our best selves. The fifth step is to take action. We have to take action towards our goals, towards our dreams, and towards our desires. We have to stop letting fear hold us back and start taking risks. In conclusion, imposter syndrome is a real phenomenon that affects millions of people around the world. It's a pattern of thought that can sabotage our relationships, our work, and our overall happiness. But the good news is that we can overcome it. We can stop feeling like we're not good enough and start feeling confident in our abilities. Remember, you are not alone. You are not alone in feeling this way. We're all struggling, we're all trying to figure it out, and we're all trying to overcome our fears and our doubts. If you're struggling with imposter syndrome, I want you to share your experiences with me in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. Let's break down this myth that we have to be perfect, and let's support each other on this journey to self-acceptance. And if you want to learn more about building self-confidence, check out my next video, where I'll be sharing some more tips and strategies on how to overcome imposter syndrome.